Are you struggling to tell the story of a nonprofit or mission-driven business in a way that captivates audiences and generates support for critically important work? Most filmmakers working with mission-driven organizations and those businesses themselves do the same 5 things that wreck their stories. But when you fix them, you're going to be able to tell compelling stories that truly make an impact. In this video, I'm going to show you what those 5 mistakes are, and then I'm going to show you what you should do instead by putting my filmmaking where my mouth is. That's right, I'm going to share a short documentary that I made for an animal rescue nonprofit last week, and you can be the judge of whether it works or not. Hey, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Austin Meyer. I'm a Bay Area-based documentary filmmaker, National Geographic Explorer, and on this channel, I share the field-tested skills, mindsets, and lessons that have helped me on my journey as a documentary filmmaker. And while today's video is focused on storytelling for nonprofits and mission-driven organizations, keep in mind that these are just general documentary storytelling principles that can be applied in any context that you are working. Okay, the first crucial mistake in impact-focused filmmaking is that the stories rely way too much on telling audiences what the organization does instead of showing what the organization does. I can't stress enough how important this is. When I watch stories from a lot of nonprofits and purpose-driven brands, I usually feel like I'm being lectured. There's typically this omniscient narrator or talking head or text on screen that says why the organization is valuable and says what they've done. Instead of telling us what an organization does, instead of telling us how someone has changed because of an organization, show us. Don't tell us about why a teacher is incredible. Film them teaching. Let us see and believe it for ourselves. Instead of telling us how an organization's services changed the lives of someone, show us their changed life. I'm not saying that nonprofits or mission-driven brands should never use interviews or narration or text to communicate information. I'm just saying that if you continue to hit audiences over the head with exposition, you're losing out on so much of the potential of visual storytelling. If you want your film to connect with viewers on an emotional level, you have to let the visuals speak for themselves. So for any story you're creating, constantly be asking yourself the question, can we show this instead of telling people this? For an amazing example of show, don't tell, I encourage you to watch the opening 5-minute sequence from the Pixar movie Up. That brings me to the second mistake that mission-aligned films make, and that is that they aren't there to film the story's critical moments. So many times I will see videos from nonprofits and businesses where they talk about one of their impactful actions, and yet they don't have any visuals of that action. This comes down to forethought and pre-production. If you're working as a filmmaker with or for a nonprofit, get really clear on what the most critical moments of the story are. Then do the necessary work to get access to film those moments. When I filmed a story on maternal health care, which came out with the United Nations Population Fund, which is the United Nations agency focused on reproductive health, I knew that the critical moment for the story was the birth of a child. So leading up to that moment, I lived and slept in a rural Zambian health clinic for a week. I knew that I could not miss that critical moment, and I didn't. Gathering footage before, during, and after that critical moment allowed us to show impact instead of cutting to an interview months later in which the main character told us about how she had given birth at a health clinic for the first time. So choose your stories strategically. Focus on productions where you know that you're going to have access to the most visual and critical moments of your story. The third mistake I see is that there are just so few moments that feel natural and authentic. So many impact stories feel stilted and overly sanitized. They put someone in front of the camera who has never been interviewed in their life and then have 5 minutes of quotes set to slow motion B-roll and an inspiring music track. The way to bring your story to life is to make things more raw, more observational. And to do this, I suggest you document scenes that speak for themselves. Don't be afraid to fade out the music and move away from interviews for a second. Just let the natural sound of a scene you're filming tell the story. Give us moments where the subjects aren't performing, where it doesn't feel like a video is being made and everyone is conscious of that. Give us some observational moments where characters are just living their lives. The fourth mistake I see is that these films are too general. And I see this playing out in two ways. The first is that a lot of nonprofits want to talk about the scale of the problem that they're addressing. They want to talk about the huge numbers of those who they have helped. And what gets lost in these large statistics is what every great story is built on, and that's character. So what can you do instead? Focus on the story of an individual. Focus the story on a particular character as a way to illustrate broad trends or statistics. Now, for the nonprofit and organizations that are already doing this, let me push you to go a step further when it comes to specificity. Once you have identified a particular character whose story you would like to tell, I want you to get very specific with them. Follow them on a specific day when they're doing something that is very specific to the story you want to tell. Press them on interviews to get out of generalities like, back in the day I was struggling, and towards specifics about what that struggle looked like on a very granular level. Here is a general rule when it comes to effective storytelling. The more specific a story you can tell, the more broadly it will resonate, especially when that specific story connects to universal human themes such as love, loss, hope, fear, and power. And before we put my own skills to the test to see if I can actually demonstrate all of these principles and not just talk about them, let's finish out the list with the fifth mistake that plagues films in the nonprofit and mission-driven brand space, and that is they are all the same. Look, I know I talk a lot on this channel about story structure and the rules of great filmmaking, but in truth, these are all just guidelines. So please don't get tied down by structure and the rules of storytelling that you lose your intuition of what feels right. I want you to think of story structure like arranging flowers in a bowl. At some point, for no apparent reason, the arrangement just feels good, so you stop. Why that particular configuration of flowers? No idea. Why not some other order? I don't know. Why did you stop? Because it felt complete and in balance. And the same goes for making stories. There's no set of rules that you need to follow. If there was, every story would be the same. And that's the problem in the nonprofit filmmaking space. The problem is that everyone is following the exact same story mold. You have seen it countless times. This is how it goes. Meet Leslie. Leslie is making tortillas by herself, but she has trouble getting corn, and she can't find a market to sell them at. But this NGO has found a way to get corn to Leslie and how to connect Leslie with vendors and blah, blah, blah. And the camera pulls back, and now Leslie needs to hire others, which leads to blah, blah, blah. Think how many times you've seen this story. You identify with the single person, you understand their needs, you see how the aid is operating to better that person's life, and then it reverberates outward to the village, and then the city, and then the nation, and then the world. If the stories you are making follow the exact same structure as every other story in your space, they will fall flat. So please, play, improvise, try something new, surprise yourself with what feels right. And with that, it's time to see if I can walk the walk or film the film. So let's see if I can take my own advice. This is a 8-minute documentary that I made the other week for an animal rescue nonprofit. I created this by myself. I shot it over the course of one afternoon. And also, I did the editing. As you watch, notice how I try to avoid the pitfalls of impact storytelling that we just covered. Also, please comment with any questions you have about the making of this story, because this is a personal project, so I have access to all my raw footage, the editing timeline, all of that. And so next week on the channel, I'm gonna be answering your questions about how I turned one afternoon of shooting into what you're about to see. All right, here we go.
I'm Zoe Novick. I'm the Executive Director of CAPE, the Center for Animal Protection and Education. And today I'm here on a beautiful spring day at the CAPE Animal Sanctuary with a team of volunteers, and we are excitedly awaiting the arrival of Ruby.
I'm so giddy right now.
Me too. Ruby is a senior horse. One of our incredible CAPE volunteers in our CAPE community has advocated for Ruby's rescue.
So she's just gonna hang out here, I guess, until we meet everybody, and then she's gonna be led back there.
Okay. Good job. Good job.
Good girl. Good mama. Yep. There you go. Good girl. There you go.
Oh. Oh. Look at her. Look at her.
Okay, I'm crying.
Ruby is a senior elder mare who is a survivor, and she's lived a hard life.
Ruby has no papers that tell us where her lineage is. In the beginning of Ruby's life, we think that a very hardworking cowboy rode Ruby pretty aggressively. Small stalls, heavy saddles, lots of work, long hours. All those things can eventually develop what's called swayback, which you'll see is right where a saddle sits, so it basically creates sag over time.
All of her blood work came out great. She's just got a horrendous swayback.
Yeah.
And I've never seen a horse.
She's got arthritic front knees too, but other than that, she's pretty healthy. We also think her knees are from her being some kind of cow horse or reining horse of some sorts. So lots of hopping around, sliding stops, all that will create damage over time to the knees. She doesn't have most of her teeth, that's the other thing.
Literally no teeth?
She has like 4 or 5. Not very many.
Minimal teeth.
Yes.
I was fortunate enough to enter Ruby's life 4 years ago. A horse-loving woman saw an ad that said, "Want to get rid of this old mare." She thought, "Ooh, that doesn't sound good. I think we need to get that horse out of that situation, or she might end up on the meat trucks." So I volunteered to go, and that's how I met Ruby. As soon as we turned the corner and started pulling in the driveway, Ruby started whinnying. She was so excited, and then the woman came out and we could understand that this was not a happy place for Ruby. This was a horse that had been neglected, but like everybody just falls in love with her. My vet's like, "I love this horse."
I can see why.
Ruby has sort of been in a transitional phase for the last 4 years. We've been looking for a permanent situation where Ruby can spend the rest of her days. This is a tough sell, right? When you have an elder horse who certainly cannot be ridden, and horses are expensive, so there weren't a lot of takers. That's when I reached out to Cape, because I know that this is heaven on earth and that this is the absolute best place that an elder horse could possibly live out the rest of her days.
I remember when she first found Ruby, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with her." And she loves Ruby, so she's super excited to have found her such a nice spot to land.
That's we're so excited to be able to take care of her.
Anywhere empty that I can let her just kind of roam and adjust?
Yeah, that back. Yeah.
Okay.
The first few weeks that Ruby is here at the Cape Sanctuary, she will be in an equine part of the sanctuary that is set up for horses and burros. Penners! Go say hi to your new sister. Right now, Cape has a herd of 7 burros, and we want them to be able to interact and get to know each other through a fence, just so that they become comfortable and getting to know each other while feeling safe.
Yeah.
I love when they blow bubbles.
Is that good water, Ruby?
Is it blowing bubbles?
She seems pretty comfortable pretty quickly.
I bet she'll be great friends with these burros.
Yeah,
Just
I hope
give
so.
her a little time. It's difficult for horses to trust. They have long memories, and they don't trust easily. And so the fact that Ruby is so trusting and so affectionate and so open to human kindness after having lived a not very kind life for so many years, I think makes her a very special horse.
She's got 3 fly masks. The pink one fits her the best.
The pink one, you said?
Yeah. And then her hay, I'll give you guys, I think there's 3 hay bags in here. Pull this and then tie it. I don't know if you needed all of them, but I brought them all.
Thank you.
She has rain rot in the center of her spine. Just a little bit, and I have it mostly gone. This is her medicated shampoo for it. And then she's got 2 brushes. This is her hairbrush. And then I always braid her hair just because. No particular reason. But that's all of Ruby's collection of things.
It's so nice. You donated all of this stuff.
It all fits her, so it makes it easy. Leaving Ruby's very sad. It was really sad this morning packing up all her stuff and whatnot and packing her up to bring her here. But it's bittersweet because I'm excited for her future here and her ability to have new animals to interact with and so much space to roam and just be a horse.
Fine. Go make friends with your donkeys.
Without me. Bye, little lady.
Bye, Ruby.
Yeah, she did last night.
Oh, good.
Of course,
Bye,
I
sweet
sleep with her
girl.
one night. I told her she was sleep laying down.
Bye-bye.
Jeez. You know, you can never be more interesting than food.
Thank you guys so much, seriously.
Oh my God, thank you so much.
What makes the Cape Sanctuary an ideal place for a horse like Ruby is, first of all, the people.
I'm excited.
There will be like 20 people to love Ruby and to spend time with her and to nurture her and care for her. The vet care is superlative here. I know that the nutrition, everything is very thoughtful.
Man, I just hope she gets to roam. That's just what she loves to do.
I hope that she just has a peaceful, happy, healthy retirement that all of us would envy.
I hope you enjoyed that video. Like I said, please let me know in the comments what you're curious to learn about the making of that little short doc. It can be anything gear related, shoot related, story, editing, whatever you're curious about when it comes to how I turned one afternoon of shooting into what you just saw. I'll see you next week. Until then, go out and tell some stories.